Welcome back, our dear viewers. A special coverage for the G7 summit, which is taking place in the French city of Biarritz, France, with the participation of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. Of course, we'll be shedding light today on the African ties with France in particular. And we'll start with this report. A number of encounters and events highlighted ties between Cairo and Paris. At a press conference in January, the French ambassador in Cairo said that the 2019 year is a special year in the history of relations between Egypt and France, coinciding with 150 years since the opening of the Suez Canal, which is one of the great achievements in the course of bilateral ties between Egypt and France. He was speaking ahead of the first visit to Egypt by French President Emmanuel Macron. More over the Egyptian-French ties in the following report.
In January, France's President Emmanuel Macron visited Egypt for the first time. The visit was described as a step to propel the joint relations forward, particularly in economic vistas, including investment and trade, as well as the political and military fields. Experts said the visit, which was intensively prepared by the presidency, the Egyptian Ministry of Investment and International Cooperation, the Ministry of Trade and Industry, as well as the French Embassy in Cairo, the Egypt-France Business Council and the French Chamber of Commerce in Egypt, CCFE, is considered a milestone in both countries' history of joint cooperation. French investments in Egypt are estimated at 4.5 billion euros, which include agricultural industries, information technology, construction, new and renewable energy, transportation, banks, aviation, water desalination, infrastructure and tourism, according to official data from Cairo. Egyptian officials say French investments are characterized by diversity in various sectors, especially in the fields of infrastructure, transportation, industry, communications and information technology, energy, and the development of SMEs. They say that since the ratification of the new investment law at the end of May 2017, a large number of French companies have been established in Egypt. Moreover, they say the volume of trade exchange between Egypt and France hit $1.4 billion during the first 8 months of 2018, with $460 million in exports and $999 million in imports.
And to shed more light on the Egyptian-French ties, we are joined over the phone by Dr. Mustafa Tamam, our economic expert. Dr. Tamam, good afternoon to you, sir. Hello, sir. Dr. Tamam. Hello. Dr. Tamam. I do believe that we are having some technical problem. Dr. Tamam. Hello, sir. I'm afraid that we are facing some technical problem regarding the phone with Dr. Mustafa Tamam. I will be bringing the phone right after watching this report. In December 2018, Egyptian and French naval forces carried out joint military drills at a military base in the Red Sea. An Egyptian army statement said the drills were conducted with the participation of the French Courbet battleship as well as other combat ships from the Egyptian naval forces. More details follow.
Egyptian and French naval forces were held in late 2018 in the Red Sea. An Egyptian army statement said the exercises aim to enhance bilateral military cooperation and recognize recent naval combat tactics. It said several activities were conducted, including confronting terrorism and naval security threats, as well as protecting vital targets against untraditional threats. Officials said military cooperation with France is key and will remain one of the priorities, adding that Egyptian authorities agreed with French counterparts on deals of buying rather modern military weapons. In July 2018, Cairo and Paris conducted joint exercises in the Red Sea, In February, they also launched the Cleopatra 2018 naval exercise to boost security in the Red Sea and the Mediterranean Sea. In March, they also carried out military drills as part of their military cooperation. The Egyptian military celebrated the establishment of the first locally manufactured Gowind-class corvette in Alexandria as part of a 2014 contract with France with an aim to upgrade the maritime fleet. The warship, dubbed the Portside Frigate, was manufactured by both Alexandria's Shipyard Company and France's Naval Group Company. The Egyptian side has made several purchases of French military hardware in recent years. A Gowind 2,500 corvette naval vessel, which arrived in October, is one of the deals. In 2015, the Egyptian side signed a deal to acquire 24 Rafale fighter jets from France. Analysts say the official visits between the two sides, reaching 20 visits since November 2014, reflect the convergence in opinions towards the joint issues of concern topped by the Palestinian cause, the Libyan crisis, in addition to the mutual desire to strengthen the partnership since 2 centuries ago in the economic, military, and cultural fields, according to government data.
And to shed light about the Egyptian-French ties, we are joined over the phone by Dr. Mustafa Tammam, our economic expert. Dr. Tammam, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you.
Dr. Tammam, how would you describe the level of Egyptian-French cooperation in recent years?
I can't hear you again. What's the question?
How would you describe the level of cooperation between Egypt and France in recent years?
Certainly, this is a very important event that took place, and certainly the relations are very strong between the countries we have just mentioned before. But certainly, this meeting will boost a lot of information, and our role, you see, as the African Union, the head of African Union, will be able to promote a lot of business between the African continent countries and Europe and other countries.
Yes. Sir, how do you weigh the investment and economic ties between Egypt and France in particular?
Certainly, the economic ties to Egypt and France has been a long time ago since President de Gaulle, you see. There has been support in the military area. In 1973, before the 1970 war, they supplied us with aircraft, you see. Again, a lot of French companies operate in the, and specifically I want to talk about the transportation field, which is the metro, you see. The French companies have provided a lot of assistance and a lot of probably know-how and finance in order to erect and execute the metro network project in Egypt. And we are seeing a lot of promise in this respect. You see, now the President is giving a lot of emphasis on the transportation projects, and specifically the projects which are financed by France in respect to the metro and the railway system and other projects.
Yes. Dr. Tammam, in your opinion, what would be the fields of more attraction to the French investments in Egypt?
Well, certainly now, you see, this was very good gesture, see, because the presence of Mr. Abdel Fattah Sisi, President, shows that there is a dramatic change in Egypt since 2011. You see, now we have political stability, economic stability, and we have, you see, all the countries around us are in turbulence. Fortunately, Egypt is not, you see, due to the wise, probably management of the situation, the political situation, that we are not involved in a lot of crisis. Again, this gives a lot of hope that a lot of investors will be coming here into Egypt to invest into Egypt. See, specifically, I'd like to talk about the free zone Suez Canal, which has been established in order to attract a lot of investors. On the other side, you see now, we are revamping the education and the health system, which is crucial in order to attract investors. Number 3, also, we are fighting bureaucracy by trying to eliminate a lot of the problems that have been faced by the investors. Finally, certainly, we'll be concentrating on vocational training and upgrading our human resources, which is a crucial factor in attracting investors.
Yes. Dr. Tamam, on a more general note, how do you see the ties between Europe and Africa?
Certainly, you see, Africa is a very promising continent. It has a lot of resources and a lot of potential there. But certainly, our role as the head of the African Union at present is to give an idea about a sort of diagnostic review about the problems that the European community could solve. For example, they could solve in the era of education, in the era of industrialization, you see, in these domains. So because these African companies, they need a lot of support, they have a lot of resources, but unfortunately, they have been, during the last 20 years, they've been neglected by the past regime. See, with the exception of the late Dr. Boutros Ghali, who gave a lot of importance to the African continent, but unfortunately, after he passed away, this didn't take the same path. Again, certainly, Africa is considered a very good potential for investors. And I'll give you an example. Unfortunately, Chinese companies went into Darfur since 15 years ago in order to provide exploration and production of oil.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we did not take this chance into consideration, and we have here in Egypt a lot of experience in the oil domain. See? So the Chinese companies were ahead of us, and they went to Darfur, and they provided a lot of technical expertise in the field of exploration and production. That's one example. Another example is agriculture. You see, we could certainly, I'll give you an example, specific example, like Sudan. Sudan contains a lot of rich land which is ready for agriculture, and we have the manpower. So if we have a sort of coordination and integration in this respect, we could provide the food supplies for the whole Middle East, you see, and this will have an impact on the demand of foreign currency, on reducing imports and improving our balance of trade.
Yes. Dr. Tamam, of course, the participation of Africa in the G7 summit is very important. What would be the most important topic related to Africa that would be discussed during the sessions of the G7 summits? And of course, the most important files of mutual concern between Africa and Europe.
Well, I tell you, the most important certainly were economic cooperation, fighting of terrorism, also have a mutual understanding, a win-win situation, giving an idea to the European and the G7 countries which are controlling the economy about the opportunities that are available in the African continent.
Yes, Dr. Tamam, what are your expectations for the cooperation between the two continents, Europe and Africa, in the coming phase?
Certainly, I'll tell you, it's very important in order that these conferences succeed that we have an action plan.
Yes.
It's not a matter of going to a conference and going back to square one. I suggest that this is very important. After each conference, probably have a steering committee which is going to set up an action plan, because certainly some of these recommendations you will find difficulties to apply. So the committee will be there in order to eliminate any difficulties and have a good insight about how to apply all the recommendations which I mentioned.
Yes. Sir, what are the most important field of investments that could be attractive to the French investors in Africa in general?
I'll tell you, the most important would be in agriculture, as I mentioned now, and I give Sudan as an example.
Yes,
certainly, number two will be industrialization, small-scale enterprises, not large projects. Number three, certainly, in order to have this, we have to have vocational training and a lot of important educational prospects that will advance the economies of the African countries.
Sir, what are the key areas of opportunities for the European countries to capitalize on for Africa's development?
Well, we should capitalize, my opinion is capitalize on developing the human resources. This is the crucial element, and certainly will give us a very positive impact.
Yes. Dr. Mustafa Tamam, thank you very much, sir, for your precious input. Of course, a very important meeting for the world leaders with the participation of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, who arrived in the French city of Biarritz to participate in the summit of the G7 2019. The G7 summit is headed by France, of course, and is to last for 3 days. On the sidelines of the G7 summit, President Sisi received in his residency Italian Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte. Presidential spokesman Ambassador Bassem Radi said that the Italian Prime Minister stressed his country's keenness on the continuous consultations with President Sisi regarding regional developments, particularly in the Libyan file and combating terrorism. Radi added that the meeting also tackled means of boosting bilateral ties in all fields, especially in the field of investment and trade, in light of the developmental projects currently taking place in Egypt. The two sides discussed cooperation on the current investigations regarding Regini's case, as President Sisi highlighted the efforts exerted to unfold the case's facts. That is to bring the perpetrators to justice. The visit of President Sisi comes upon an invitation from his French counterpart, Emmanuel Macron. President Sisi is to present the African cause before the G7 summit. Of course, many topics of mutual concern regarding the trade, regarding the economy, fighting terrorism in Africa and in Europe. What could be the common experiences which should be exchanged regarding the fight of terrorism, of course, is topping the agenda of the talks between the world leaders, the leaders of the G7, as well as President Sisi, of course, and representatives from Africa and Asia. Very important meeting for the world leaders to discuss many crucial issues of great concern, of course, to the whole world, to Europe in particular, and to Africa. President of France, President Emmanuel Macron, was keen on inviting President Sisi, representing not only Egypt but the whole of Africa, in order to boost cooperation and more field of cooperation on different levels, on the economic, political, social, and security fronts between the European countries, the G7 states, and Africa. Our dear viewers, that would bring us to the end of this edition of Africa Today, a very special edition where we have been discussing the African-European ties and the Egyptian-French ties in light of the current G7 summit taking place in France. I'm Mahesti Rabia signing off.